Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. It's the ISRC Lyra Productions Truck Series. Tonight it's Season 5, Round at 12, the cutoff race. It's the Robert Downshift Jr. 80, presented by Lids at Martinsville. Short track racing, the cutoff race. It's important, it's impactful. Who could survive? We'll have to find out here tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. And Zach, the drivers are done with qualifying. They're done with practice. It's gridding time. Man, I'm excited for tonight's race.
That I am too, Sam. This is going to be fun to watch, man, as this grid's getting all set up. We're going to get to see how all 20 drivers are going to attack the field and all of our playoff drivers involved.
As our qualifying results pop up, today is going to be the second ever Martinsville race of the season, and it certainly is going to be a good one. The first time they ran here, it was 150 laps they were expected to run. They had to go into overtime, where Mark Whitley found himself in a victory lane. Brandon Colley got the pole, and Mark Whitley as well led the most laps. Could tonight be a different night for the 77, who is one of 12 drivers trying to make it to the round of 8. 4 will not move on into the playoffs, but topping the board after last week's win at Road America, Christopher Norris locked into the next round and as well going to have the pole award for tonight's race. Other drivers to watch out for: Trenton Jump, Danny Cochran, as well as Mark Whitley, Cody Reed. They've got some good points to work off of, as they've got 10 plus points over the cut line. Joshua Kanata, John Forbes, Ollie Fonseca, drivers to watch out for, as they're just inside of the bubble. But here is where the drivers will be starting off here tonight. Christopher Norris going to be taking the pole. Danny Cochran in second place. Mark Whitley, last winner here back in Season 1, in third, with Trent Jump fourth. Fifth goes to that of Justin Campbell. Cody Reed in sixth. Nick Crawford seventh. Eighth goes to Ollie Fonseca. Mason Cassidy could be sneaky speedy in ninth. 11th goes to 10th goes to the 11 of John Forbes.
Malik Kuntz is going to start in the 11th position. 12th is going to go to Ryan Ferraro. 13th is going to be held by the 16 of Joshua Kanata. 14th is going to be Tyler Dingler. 15th is going to be Eric Stamp. 16th position is going to be the 6th truck of Justin Smith. 17th position is going to be the 1 of Martin Morales. 18th, GT Irizarry. 19th is going to be Logan Brakey. And rounding out our 20 truck field here tonight is Cody Smith.
Also, one of our playoff drivers, Logan Brakey, who comes in tonight 11 points out from the cutoff line, as well, starting with a penalty after an unsafe re-entry onto the track last week at Road America that got himself and Mark Morales caught up in a big wreck. The 29 not able to qualify and will be starting at the tail end of the field. Logan Brakey's going to have a long night if he wants to be a survivor into the Elite 8. But up front, being Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, the top 4 going to be some fast drivers to watch out for as the pace car pulls onto pit road. It's 150 laps here tonight. Stage break at the end of lap 70. No fast repairs. 4 extra sets of tires in pit road, and the drivers are ready. It's the Robert Downshift Jr. 80, presented by Lids, as we are green for the last race of the round of 12. Down into turn number 1. Good clean run for the inside driver of Christopher Norris. And here we go, Zach, off the exit 2.
Let's see who can hold on to these rear ends of these race trucks, Sam. These things are very, very loose, folks. It's going to be wanting to spin out on all of these drivers here, especially in these cold tires as they start to build up the heat here in these first opening laps.
Already spinning out, exit of 4, and it's GT Irizarry as well as Cody Smith that are going to find themselves spun around as the 14 tried to get a great launch out of turn number 4, and it did not go well for himself. And luckily, I believe Logan Brakey was able to avoid any more contact as he was around the catalyst of that incident. But our early incident, right when he called it, Zach, watch out for the rear ends. And this is what brought out our first caution of the day.
That it was, Sam, and right here up in this upper groove, and that's not going to be the greatest place with grip, and you're going to see it just steps sideways. Same for Smith back there. I mean, he got into the outside wall, and it looks like Martin Morales may have caught a little piece of that, but looks like no major damage looking at the nose of the one truck, so luckily he gets through it. But it just shows you how fast they can step out on you, and that's going to be a common thing we see a lot of tonight. And I think also another common thing we're going to see here is a lot of drivers staying out, trying to get out of the, the danger zone in the middle of the field with drivers being unstable.
Yeah, and especially on the fact of staying out with our stage break going to be at the end of lap 70. Drivers aren't going to be trying to get those stage bonus points. Inside of the top 10, you get bonus points. Other ways you get bonus points is leading a lap, you get one. Leading the most laps, you get 3 bonus points. And one that might be the most difficult of them all, 0 incidences here tonight, also grants you 1 bonus point.
That one will definitely, I think, be the most difficult one to get, Sam. If you can get out here with no incident points, it's usually equated to a pretty good night, I would say. So we'll see what that does for these drivers throughout the night. But at the moment, Christopher Norris was able to get the good launch there to start this race, but Mark Whitley was able to immediately jump up to that second position with the advantage of starting on the bottom lane, and that's going to be a huge. Another topic is what lane the drivers start in. Sam, that bottom lane just so dominant on these restarts.
And these drivers running in the truck series, we've covered Martinsville these last couple of weeks in different vehicles of the Gen 4s, also the Xfinity cars on Tuesday nights for the Full Send Racing series. And Zach, I mean, the trucks in any vehicle, you'd say, that outside lane, pretty difficult spot to be if you're trying to make any moves.
It really is. It's a tough position to be in, but we have seen it work in the past. It is not impossible, and that's the one thing I think that's the beauty of Martinsville with this track is, yes, the outside groove is very much at a big disadvantage. Just not as much grip up in the outer groove. Also, just the longer way around the racetrack, the shortest way around, usually the quickest way at these short tracks. That longer distance just doesn't work out there. But if you do have the pace advantage on somebody and you have the front grip to work around the outside of them, it is a move that is very viable maybe later in this race.
Nascar pulling into pit road. It's time for the drivers up front to get ready for this next launch. Christopher Norris, Mark Whitley going to be your front two into the restart zone. The Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids is back underway. Christopher Norris, great launch once again, and Stanley Cochran, Mark Whitley side by side through turns 1 and 2.
Now we'll get to see who fights here stronger on the bottom or the top. Does Mark Whitley able to have that power up top to hold off of the two of Danny Cochran? Or will he just have to roll over? Because if he does, Trent Jump's going to look to fill that hole quickly. As now that we head down the front straight, Mark Whitley look immediately going to jump into the hole that was there.
Justin Campbell trying to get a lot of practice time in the truck series, joined halfway through the season, and it's been a joy to be with us coming over from Rev Racing in real life and joining with Ollie Fonseca, the 9, trying to work that outside lane to get by Mark Whitley, not able to do so. Looks like he might have to slot in, but it's a huge checkup with everyone having to back up right behind the 9 machine.
It really is going to be one of those things that we see a lot tonight, is drivers jumping into holes that maybe only a truck would fit into, and that's going to cause a checkup and an accordion effect back throughout the field. And if they're close enough to the driver in front of you, you may be running right to the backup.
As we look back from Cody Green in the 25, just the battling between Nick Crawford as well as seeing others trying to make the charge forward. Ollie Fonseca, one of the drivers that's on the bubble cut line, the 24, just 1 point above Ryan Ferraro coming into tonight. Last season was one of the top contenders to run for a championship. Almost had it done, but fell shy. The 24 and this 25, both drivers have really ran well this season.
They really have. I mean, if some of these drivers on this cut line, Sam, if they get knocked out, I mean, look at Fonseca, you look at Nick Crawford as, oh, we got another cautioner.
And it looks to be trouble on the entry of the corner for the 7 of Cody Smith, as he will spin around, bringing out our second caution of the day. Got to see a decent long run there. Drivers are hoping for a little bit of a longer one. Not going to happen, as Cody Smith, our second self-spin of the evening for our second caution. And for the drivers in the back, going to be a troublesome spot for themselves. But well, like what you were talking about, Zach, the drivers of Ollie Fonseca and that of Cody Reed.
Yeah, they've had amazing seasons. You know, if they get knocked out, if someone like that, someone like Nick Crawford, you know, there's really some really strong contenders for a championship right on this cut line. And I personally, you know, tonight's going to be a dogfight. You're really going to have to tough it out here if you want to get through to this next round. We could see the likes of our defending champion out tonight.
I put in chat right before the broadcast started. We were having some technical difficulties, kind of pushed us a little bit further back than we usually would start. So we weren't able to do a full breakdown of what the point standings look like coming into tonight's race. But this is where the drivers are running into tonight's race. Christopher Norris, of our 12 drivers that made the playoffs, he's the only one that has an absolute. He is moving on to the next round after winning last week at Road America. Trent Jump has a 15-point buffer over Ryan Ferraro. Then Danny Cochran, who's third in points, has a 14-point buffer over Ryan Ferraro. Mark Whitley has a 12-point buffer. Cody Reed has a 10-point buffer, with Joshua Kanata with a 7-point buffer. John Forbes 3 points over the cut line. Ollie Fonseca being the cutoff driver, just 1 point over Ryan Ferraro. The drivers that are outside looking in that need a good point stay and need some other drivers to falter. Ryan Ferraro, he's down 1 point to Ollie Fonseca. Nick Crawford is 2 points off of Ollie Fonseca. That of Malik Kuntz is 7 points out, and Logan Brickey is 11 points out from the good. Those 4 drivers, surprising names. Malik Kuntz, Nick Crawford, kind of surprised they're outside looking in, and they need some good runs here this evening to make it into the next round of the playoffs.
Heartbreak last week for the Crawford team at Road America. Once again, we saw his disconnect live in person. That was a heartbreaker for him. Malik Kuntz, tough ending to his race at Road America, where he was having a good run to start tonight. Just shows you got to stay on top of it all throughout the whole entire race. And, you know, those could be 2 top contenders that could be looking on the outside here tonight when this race all concludes. But we'll get to see a great start here, because if Christopher Norris wins again, that opens up the door for more people to point in.
It really does, as tonight going to be back to another restart. Have only had 2 cautions so far, and can we get a longer green flag run? Let's find out. Into the restart zone, and we are green here at Martinsville as Christopher Norris, your early cutoff on Danny Cochran. Mark Whitley poking the nose, and we're side by side for second place again off of 2.
The 2 did a good job to roll the center, but just couldn't get the drive off. That allowed the 77 to power ahead down the back straightaway, and now into 3 and 4. Mark Whitley should have control of this pass, and now Justin Campbell, he's going to look to maybe take position from the 2, but a 2 Cochran immediately defending that inside into 1.
Defending the inside the best that he can, not wanting to give off any more positions, but a lot of aggression in the middle of the field as drivers are trying to get themselves into a better spot. As Trent Jump, 5th place runner, season 2 champion, he's been having a great season of trying to rebound. He's gotten himself in victory lane a couple of times this season, the 46, hoping that this will be the season and become the first driver to win 2 championships in the ISRC Truck Series.
What a story that would be for himself, as we're going to see a great little bout here between those 2 drivers we talked about before, Cody Reed and Ollie Fonseca. Cody Reed on the inside, Fonseca trying to roll the top just like Nick Crawford did. Nick Crawford was able to actually roll around the top of his teammate Cody Reed, get the pass done, but I don't think Reed's going to be as nice to that 24 as he was to the 74 ahead.
I don't think so either, as they continue to battle back and forth. I know for Cody Reed and Ollie Fonseca, they've been friends and kind of allies at times in the past, trying to assist one another to get through the playoffs and practice as a group. But ever since Cody joined up with the Snowy Desert Racing teammates of Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford, they're still assisting one another, but just not as much detail, and a little bit more of a rivalry starts to build up as Ollie holds on. A huge wiggle for the 24 there.
Huge slide for him there, as that's going to open up the door now. Look at this huge slide here as they're trying to hold on to it. The 11 of Forbes just couldn't do it. Now Fonseca takes back that position and will clear down behind the 25.
I mean, Zach, we're talking about the fact that it takes time for these tires to really feel comfortable, but at what moment does it just turn into there is no comfort zone? You're just holding off for dear life.
Really about 15 laps into the run, it's a very weird feeling, folks, out there, what these drivers are going to feel tonight as the caution comes out.
And it's going to be the 6 of Justin Smith. Exit of turn 2 looks to be issue of, again, another driver. Hard entry, center of the corner, just losing the rear end for those in the back.
And this is exactly what I was about to explain to everybody, Sam. This is what they're feeling in the race truck. It's not the entry, it's not the exit, it's really the center of the corner. You enter into the corner, and it all starts at entry. You feel stable on the entry, but as you unload and undo that brake pressure, the truck unloads and it starts to walk around right in the center of the corner. And that's what a lot of drivers are fighting. So you can't get in too hot into the corner, because it kind of gives you that false sense of stability. You know, you feel good on entry, and then all of a sudden as you let out the brake pressure, it unloads, the truck just loops around.
I mean, that sensation's going to be something they worry about a lot here tonight, and some playoff implication pit stop strategy calls. I was curious on who's going to make this call of around, if we had a caution around 20 to 30 laps into a run, the only playoff driver to hit pit road, it's the 34 Ryan Ferraro, first driver out, looking in, just 1 point off of Ollie Fonseca coming into tonight. Well, the 34 going to take 4 tires and fuel. We'll see how that's going to assist the 34 here on this next restart.
To see how that helps aid these drivers. And it'll be interesting to see, Sam, with that, because how much fall off exactly will these tires have in them? I mean, Christopher Norris right now, our leader of the race, he's ran the fastest lap of this event at a 19.537, and looking at the lap times right there before we got that caution to bring it out, I mean, we're running 1967 69s right there, so only a tenth off of the lap. That tells me that there's not a lot of fall off here tonight. I mean, especially when you got these yellow flags to keep putting these tires through these heat cycles of cooling down and heating back up.
That cycle is going to be so crucial. The closer and closer we get to the end of the stage. Again, we do have a stage break here this evening at the end of lap 70 that these drivers will be having. Top 10 drivers get bonus points, where first place will get 10 bonus points, second gets 9, third gets 8. It continues to drop down 1 point per position until we get to 10th place, where it's only 1 point granted to that spot. And if you're outside the top 10 at our stage break, you get no bonus points. And Zach, with how close some of these drivers are, or for some how different they are, these stage points could be a make or break on how you have to run the rest of this race.
It could be the deciding factor, personally. I mean, when it comes down to it, I think we're going to have a few tiebreakers with how close the points really are, Sam. This stage could be make or break for your playoffs.
As we're exiting out of turn number 4, 3 cautions in the book, and we are back to green for the Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids into turn number 1. Not as great of a launch for Christopher Norris, keeping 77 stuck on the outside, and Danny Cochran taking the advantage. The 2, the 77, side by side into turn 3.
Now Danny Cochran getting the 8 of the bottom side here, see if he can take advantage of it, but he's just too loose, Sam. Off the exit, loses all grip, and Mark Willie holds on to the second position, as now Cochran's going to be under threat as this Trenton jump in the 46 trying to go through, and now even Nick Crawford, who's trying to gain those critical stage points here.
Justin Campbell had to back out of it, thought about 3 wide for a quick second. Instead, it hurts the 9 machine. He continues to fall backwards as Nick Crawford, again, able to utilize some of these mistakes by drivers moving forward. Trenton jump, though, stays high. Danny Cochran to the inside groove, trying to take back to the 3rd place position. And the 2, that inside groove maybe not looking as stable as we thought it was going to be on the exit.
Well, I will say it looks like Danny Cochran out there driving on a dirt track, Sam. He looks very unstable, and it's easy to get that feeling in your truck, and right now I think that's what the 2 is fighting in it. And right now the 74 Nick Crawford, he's looking very strong right now, as he's looking to make the move on Trenton jump. If he can get past Cochran, that'll put him up in the 3rd. That would be great stage points for the 74.
One thing for Trent Jump that he cannot afford is to get passed by the 9 and allow another driver to get underneath him, because it's a conveyor belt. But hold on, it's a reset, as we're gonna have our 4th caution of the day, and it's another self spin by the 7 of Cody Smith for himself. And it just went from bad to worse for the 7 machine, as his race might be done and dusted. I don't know if we're going to be seeing Cody Smith back out on track here tonight.
It's just been a tough situation for him. Just seems like can't get into the corner. Same exact thing that played out for him earlier. So unfortunately for him, it's just not been Cody Smith's night. He's got it on pit road and is still sitting there. So might be calling it quits, but right now this is definitely jumbled up the field. And if you're someone like Nick Crawford, who just made the pass on Trent jump, you might be considering this might not be the best case scenario now, because I'm gonna be restarting in that outside lane.
Yeah, and you got to worry about all the drivers now. How do you reset with another restart? Because you take the advantages when you can get them, but sometimes it can be flipped just as quickly. As for an update on the drivers that have already come into pit road, as a new grouping has just made their pit stop. Ryan Ferraro moving up to 13th place after taking 4 tires and fuel. Another playoff driver that just came into pit road. Logan Brakey going to get some 4 tires and fuel for the 29 machine. Joining with him is a cluster of 6 other drivers: Eric Stamp, Tyler Dangler, Justin Smith, Martin Morales Jr. as well as GT Rosari joining in with the 29. So we'll see how those drivers, well, they're going to be assisting one another. Eric Stamp going with an interesting call, though, of the drivers that came into pit road. Just 2 tires for the 53.
Very interesting call to be made. And I think one of the things that we're going to have to watch out for, Sam, is we know we have the stage caution coming at lap 70. But the factor of that is, do these drivers up front pit and take tires, or do they look to stay out for the whole race? Because with all these caution laps, they should easily be able to do the 150 laps on fuel here tonight, especially with these cautions to help out. But the question is, will we see, these drivers pit at the stage and then someone stay out who pits earlier in one of these early cautions? I mean, we could have a huge shakeup when we do get to that stage break.
And if you're Christopher Norris, you're in a pretty tricky spot, because if you pit at any moment, the rest of the field could try to flip-flop you. I mean, seeing that the lead driver is just in such a dominant fashion on these restarts, there really isn't anyone that can touch him. At 38, when he hits pit road, he's got to make sure that the majority of the field follows him with him. Otherwise, this potential win could be going nowhere. And Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, always favorites when we come to short tracks. They're hoping for some type of mistake to allow them to take that lead spot. Nick Crawford, an outside driver, again 10th in points. He was 2 points out to Ollie Fonseca. Based off where these drivers are running right now, Nick Crawford actually could find himself just pointing his way into the next round. But you're always wanting that confidence of, if I get a win, I'm automatically locked in and I don't have to trust my fate in the points. Which, that feeling, Zach, of putting your fate in the points, such a scary thought going into each round of these playoffs.
Oh, it is so tough, Sam. Just hoping on points is sometimes enough to really worry yourself, and that can have a huge major effect on your driving. In my opinion, when you have something on your mind like that, it can cloud your driving. It can take that little bit of focus that you need that 100% to do, especially on a track like Martinsville. So got to focus up here and get these points that these drivers need.
It's time to go back to green flag racing. 4 cautions in the book before we got to lap 40. How many more will they try to grab as we're back to green flag action? Christopher Norris, great launch. It will slightly move forced that of Mark Whitley to have to give up the positioning for second. Danny Cochran, smooth exit. The drag race down into turn 3. Only driver that feels confident and comfortable is Christopher Norris, as we're in the second half of stage racing here for stage number 1. And they stay side by side with Norris leading another lap.
That was so close in the middle of 3 and 4 there, almost the 2, almost up into the 77, and almost again making contact on the exit of 2 there. But these drivers are getting aggressive, Sam, and we've seen the 2 have his issues of being loose on the bottom side here. We'll see if he can make up that problem that he had before and get this position in 77.
Needs the clean exit, but right now Mark Whitley is showing, hey, the longer the run goes on, the closer I am to making this outside lane work. Which is going to give it the spot. Found an opening, slots into 3rd. And now the battle for 4th place is where we stay side by side for just a quick moment. Nick Crawford finds his spacing, and it's Justin Campbell stuck in the conveyor belt on the outside lane. Has to find the opening here as Ollie Fonseca's trying to find his spot.
That's the beauty of it. Sometimes you can make that outside work just due to the fact that people stacking up on that inside lane trying to get down there. And right now Campbell almost contacted the back bumper of the 46 as they came to 3 there. That might even have been a touch. Is back farther in the field. I think Malik Kuntz is going around.
Malik Kuntz squeezing the 34, Ryan Ferraro into the outside lane. We continue to keep ourselves straight and moving as we've got that Tyler Dangler trying to get his what's going on here machine rolling as the 19 machine up to 15th place. They continue to watch the great battling between Logan Brakey and Ryan Ferraro, 2 playoff drivers that need to get rolling. And the freshest of tires goes to Logan Brakey, who's trying to make this move on the 34.
Brakey right now trying to make moves. And yeah, I mean, he needs to. Brakey's the driver that kind of needs to go out here and make the most noise. So that 29 needs to get into a hurry. But this 98, he's been loose, Sam, as drivers have been holding on to these machines. As these runs continue on, these heat cycles too are affecting these trucks more and more.
And one of the biggest drivers and contenders up front that had a big scare truck jump just 2 laps ago, entry of turn 1, felt the rear end slip and slide, lost 2 spots. Other drivers around the field start to have that same sensation of watch out on how these tires are rolling. John Forbes, driver that's not in a comfortable spot, only 3 points ahead of the cut line on Ryan Ferraro. 11's got to be careful, because if he sees the 34 start closing in on the gap. He's got to be worrisome on, hey, fresh tires might be the key for myself to skip moving forward.
That it very well might be, is he's definitely under a ton of pressure from this 53 Eric Stamp, and Orbs can't afford this. Like, he really cannot. I mean, he did not come in here with the biggest gap back there. I mean, right, coming here 7th in points, and what, only 3 points above the cut line. So he needs every stage point he can get to.
And the main driver, he's concerned about Nick Crawford running in 4th place. That is too many positions ahead, which that's teammate on teammate action. That would be some crazy Civil War to watch, as contact for Mark Morales Jr. It's going to get that of the one. Excuse me, it was not contact. He almost made contact into the wall, as the one finds himself being spun around center of 1 and 2. 1 and 2 seems to be the trickiest spot of them all.
It really does, Sam, and I'm not surprised by this, because I doing some practice last night myself with a few of the drivers out there, just testing the conditions. This is exactly where most of my issues as a driver myself came, is just not having the truck over rotating the center of 1 and 2. And it seems like it happens in 3 and 4, but just something about 1 and 2 makes it a little bit worse. There is a little bit of a elevation change in 3 and 4 that maybe could help that condition not be as bad, where 1 and 2 is a little bit more of a flat entry of a corner, so could be causing a little bit of issues there. That's about the 3rd or 4th time we've seen that same exact one, as we've had a few drivers taking opportunities to come to pit road. I think Kanada's in here, and also Kuntz.
That's more playoff drivers that this could be their one stop that they're hoping to make, maybe for the night, or at least their one stop that can allow them to have track position when the end of the stage rolls around. As for the 16, the 98, 4 tires and fuel for the both of them, and they're getting back out on track. And under our 5th caution of the day, hey, why not give some shout outs to amazing sponsors that help out the ISRC Truck Series week in and week out, and allow us to be your broadcaster for the series on Monday night. Starting things off with Larry Art Productions. Larry Art Productions, a great YouTube channel to get yourself some daily content, get yourself some content throughout your day, as Larry Art Productions has got some great, hilarious comedy skits, reviews, and more. Go check out Larry Art's production on YouTube, as well as on social media, to see the hilarity that this man can bring. Speaking of hilarity, the Laugh Lab. The Laugh Lab is your daily spot to go. If you'd like to go find yourself with some funny content on the daily, they are the ones that post daily, as well as racing references and relevancy to post. Check out _laugh_lap today on Instagram for your daily content. And lastly, Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. Forgot to shout them out during our qualifying, looking at our qualifying results, but they're our qualifying results sponsor, being that of Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. And Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios is a great place to go. Go to their Instagram and see their wide range of colored custom tattoos, prints, painting, stickers, and more that you can go find yourself purchasing today. And shortly, going to be also seeing Team Watson Racing Setups, our stage sponsor. Go get your racing setups to dominate the series that you're running your open series on with Team Watson Racing Setups, as the drivers get the 1-to-go marker. Zach, Christopher Norris still leading the way, and will he continue to lead and try to get that most laps led and steal even more bonus points from drivers?
He very well may be looking to do that, and right here, interested to see what he does do. Looks like he'll be starting on the bottom lane this time, so sticking to that. I didn't know maybe if he consider that outside lane with his teammate up there, and maybe trying to trap Cochran down in front of Whitley, but looks like the decision's been made to start on the bottom.
Here we go. Drivers excited for this restart. 5th one of the day, as it's go time for the Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids. Christopher Norris, great launch. Got Danny Cochran gonna have a nose ahead through the entry turns 1 and 2. Can the 2 get the better launch off the corner? Doesn't look like it. Mark Whitley just too strong on the inside.
Whitley wiggling his way into that 2nd position, just able to take over that spot. As now it's going to be Fonseca on attack of the 74 Nick Crawford, and this is critical stage points for both of these drivers. This is going to be some hard-fought battling for that 4th, 5th position.
Ollie Fonseca needs to be ahead. He's wanting to have the position, so he doesn't have to worry about the points as aggressively as the race progresses forward. While Nick Crawford, he wants to at least be tied with Ollie Fonseca, so it's all about just being a position ahead of the 24 later on in this race. as Justin Campbell wooing the 74 their way forward as they continue to stay side by side, and the battling continues to rage. But as well, you got two drivers that maybe aren't going to be just settling. That Campbell and Trenton Jump, they look both to be hungry to just make their lane move forward.
That they are. Campbell almost into the back bumper of the 74 last time in the 1. And there was even contact off of 4 the last time by between the 24 and the 74. And like we said, this is critical points for both of these drivers. And if you're Nick Crawford right, you're getting bumped by the 9, he's trying to just get down in front of the 54 or the 46 of Trenton Jump, but just couldn't do it with the 9 jacking him up.
Not able to do so, and might be even losing even more positions. It's Cody Reed now setting up to get by Justin Campbell, and Campbell, I mean, he's trying his best. Might be better, though, to just settle in below and follow the 46, and he finally finds that opening as Nick Crawford has to be careful as they continue. Trenton Jump, the wiggling action, that's the long run progresses. Zach, this 46 always has been struggling on the long run. He's already had some major big slides, and another one costing more positions.
And that was the one that cost him right there. Sam was super sideways in the middle of the center of 1 and 2. And that's just been his struggle. Like you said, you brought it up. The long run, Trenton Jump has got to have to fix that up if he wants to go fight for another championship. The mile and a halves have been a lot better for him when it comes to those long runs, but the short tracks and road courses, seems like the long runs have been his Achilles heel.
Drivers having issues further on back, and driver caught up in some of the messes. Malik Kuntz able to move up to 17th place, but he's had some scares back between the 6 and the 1. As up front, continuing to see Campbell putting the pressure on Nick Crawford, and Crawford might be thinking, am I getting a new rival right now? Because this 9 is putting the pressure on the 74's back bumper.
He really is. The 9 is, you know, he doesn't have any worries about points. He's just going out here racing, and that's what's going to make this fun. Is even Cochran struggling up ahead of him with the 74 on the back bumper of Cochran. He's going to have to make quick work of him because the 2 right now looks to be struggling.
2 championship drivers, Danny Cochran, season 3 champion last season, season 4, Nick Crawford. Crawford is trying to beat the curse, the championship curse, known for the season after you win a championship. It just feels like everything that could go wrong happens. 74 somehow made it through the round of 16, now hoping to make it through the round of 12. But up front, it's his teammate of Christopher Norris that maybe is taking some of that good luck 74 had last season.
What a strong run he's having in this round, Sam. I mean, he's making statements right now and saying, you know, it wasn't a fluke of making the Final Four last season. He's came out this season, multiple-time winner this season, and looking right now to be maybe having one of his most dominant performances so far, holding off Mark Whitley and consistently quicker than.
Yeah, I mean, the only stat that Christopher Norris isn't leading in is wins. Like, currently, that's Mark Whitley with 3 wins, Christopher Norris with 2. And if Norris could find himself in a victory lane, that would be placing the 38 tied with first. And that would be a crazy, just complete upgrade that Christopher Norris has been putting in each and every season, the way that we've seen him develop as a driver. Mark Whitley, on the other hand, he's been the top dog since he started racing the ISRC Truck Series. He won this race back in season 1 after a lot of beating and banging between himself and Vincent Sora, the driver that won the championship in season 1. And you look at Mark Whitley as a whole, he's the most winningest driver in ISRC Truck Series history. But Zach, the only thing he doesn't have is a championship. He thought he was going to grab it last season, but the unfortunate luck happened in the round of 8. This season, he seems a lot more motivated than any other season we've watched previously.
Oh, I agree, Sam. He's so hungry for it, man. You know he is. That is the one thing that's eluded him so far here on Monday nights. The guy's won everything he could have thought about here on Monday nights. And that championship just eludes him. And he's been the favorite, I think, multiple times going into it. He just hasn't got it done this season. I just have that weird feeling. I think this is going to be his best opportunity. And very well, he could be looking at the driver up ahead of him, the one he's got to beat.
4 more laps still to go before the stage is over. Currently, the drivers that are inside of our top 10, the cutoff driver will be Ryan Ferraro, who's going to get that aiming for the 1 bonus point. Ahead of him is Trenton Jump, who could be in a position where he could fall out of our top 10. The 46 has been plummeting from 3rd position now down to 8th and could be falling to 9th as he's battling with John Forbes. The laps continue to take away 3, about to be 2 laps to go in the stage.
This is one thing that concerned me for a few drivers coming into tonight. If they couldn't make the long run work, they were going to struggle to lose these stage points, and that was going to put them in weird and awkward positions going into the final runs of these races. And right now, Trenton Jump just no drive through the center for that truck. It seems like he can get off the corner pretty well, but it's through the center. That truck just struggling to get it rotated and driven down the straightaway.
Trying to get defend for 8th place. The points critical for himself, but even more critical for John Forbes. That's desperation time as we're on the last lap of the stage, waiting for these drivers to cross the line. As they do, the yellow flag expected to be thrown here at any moment when they cross the line again, but it's Christopher Norris. He got the pole, stayed up front, has led every single lap, and Norris will be your Team Watson Racing setup stage winner. At the battle for 10th, Ryan Ferraro slip up by the 34. He falls outside of the top 10. No bonus points for Ferraro.
Huge loss for Ferraro there, Sam. That's not what the 34 team wanted. Now losing critical points to drivers such as Ali Fonseca and Nick Crawford.
And with that as well, it almost was looking like we were going to see drivers go a lap down, that we're running out on track. Didn't happen. Malik Kuntz stays on the lead lap, and we've lost our first driver of the night. Cody Smith has called it a night. We're down to 19 drivers. With more bonus points, good line. We could see drivers are already locked in to the next round as pit stops underway. Everyone trying to enter pit road where major mistakes could happen if you slide through your box or any other issues pop up.
That's going to be the critical thing here, Sam. I think, if you're someone like Christopher Norris here, you ran so well so far in this race, you can't make the mistake on pit road now and give up track position. Having that lead and having the ability to control the restarts, just such a huge thing.
And with drivers that have already pitted taking the lead position, Joshua Kanata going to be taking the lead spot for the 16. That's going to be gifting him a bonus point that's very necessary. Gave up on any playoff points. That's okay for himself because he's aiming for the end of the day. Drivers are racing out of pit road. It's Mark Whitley beating out Christopher Norris. Norris falls to 5th, but 2nd out of pit road.
And I'll tell you where he lost it. It was all on entry to the box. Mark Whitley, much, much more aggressive. I mean, he drove through at least 2 boxes to get into his turn and really was able to jump that 38 there, who just really had a ginger drive into the box.
And drivers now have to settle in as we're going to be having 3 drivers deciding to stay out. And Malik Kuntz decided to be very ginger on his tires, almost went a lap down. I'm very concerned for the driver that's going to be starting 2nd on the inside lane for Malik Kuntz, and as well for Eric Stamp. He's on some very old tires, and when he took tires, it was only 2 on the right side for himself. And then Joshua Kanata, 26 laps ago, took 4 tires and fuel. It's going to be a 25 lap difference between those that just came into pit road and those that are deciding to stay out. Oh, it's a little bit of games time, Zach, on where drivers are going to be.
Oh, this is going to be so fun to see how this restart works out because of these older tires. And, we just talked about Christopher Norris losing the lead off pit road. Well, that losing of the lead, I don't think it's the worst thing, Sam, because now he's going to restart 5th instead of 4th. So that bottom lane always preferred to be in.
Well, it is time to see how these drivers are going to be reacting here. Again, your stage winner going to be Christopher Norris. These pace laps are so quick. We're not able to pull Christopher Norris up in the booth and talk to that machine, but we know that he's got to be feeling good when he was up front. But Zach now going to be in traffic. We'll see how Norris can fray in this situation. As the rest of the field, how do they want to react on this restart? Can be critical. Cody Reed deep in the field for the 25. How is he going to march his way forward? Logan Brakey, who's practically in a must-win scenario, back in 17th. Ryan Ferraro might have been transferred into a spot where he's going to need some massive problems for drivers ahead of him. But it's time to see how the rest of this run is going to go. We're into the second half of the race. There's no more stage racing. It's all about where you finish at the end of the day as we're into the restart zone. The Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids at Martinsville is back to green flag action. Side by side for 2nd place. Nick Crawford has made some dashing moves down into the corner, but it's Mark Whitley stuck, trapped, and off the nose of Christopher, off of Nick Crawford. And around goes the 77, and that Mark Whitley goes to the end of the line.
And Whitley right there, I think before he got the contact with Crawford was already just kind of stepping out, I think he was just trying to turn up underneath the 53 of Stamp. and got loose on those cold tires, Sam. And we're going to see this this right here in front of us, because it's so critical to get down to that bottom side and not lose advantage to drivers like Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran down here on this bottom. That Whitley, I think, gassed it up trying to go for that hole, and it's just cold tires. You're going to see this thing just over-rotate and step out on them.
Right there. I mean, it was just right when it was about to center up. He lost the rear end, and he's already gone, dusted, and away he goes. Nick Crawford trying to slam on the brakes not to be involved with it, and they take off. Again, one bonus point that you can grab is having 0 incident points. So for drivers that are around that mess, they're thinking, hey, I can't get any contact into this because I don't want damage, and I don't want to lose that bonus point.
That's exactly right. You get the bonus point there for the 0 incidents. You don't want to have that go away from you. That could be the make or break one for you. And if you look at it for Nick Crawford, I think right there with that hit to Mark Whitley, I'd imagine he might have consumed an incident point there, Sam. So that could be huge for that 74 coming down to the end of this thing.
Again, came into the night 10th in points, but did get 6 bonus points for the stage finish that Nick Crawford grabbed. So he's in a good spot comparatively to those that were around him that needed some better points for tonight's race. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. We appreciate whenever you come out here and watch any of the league races that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting from Monday night to Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday. We cover all 4 different leagues that we have here. And if you want to help support us in the best way that you can, remember to hit that subscribe button, as well as comment on what your favorite moments of these races have been. We highly suggest you to do so. It helps us, the broadcast team, as well as helps the leagues get views, eyes, and can help them find sponsors for the future. Zach, the field's ready. They're getting charged up for this next restart. And we know the second half of racing at Martinsville, it's just as, if not worse than the first half when it comes to the aggression. Who in this field are you circling at and you're thinking, okay, they need to get moving forward, but they have to also stay out of trouble?
And look at someone like Cody Reed back in 14th. I think Cody Reed, he needs to get going. He needs to make sure he's not losing out to teammates like John Forbes and Nick Crawford of them. So if I'm Cody Reed, I'm definitely having that thought process in my head. Came in with a good gap in points, but still has to make sure he doesn't get caught up in too much and still make up a few of these spots. Then Mark Whitley, of course, back in 17th. How fast will he push to try to get back up there? I think that's going to be quite a show for us to see the 77 try to cut through the field.
Field is getting ready and prepared as Joshua Kanata had a great launch for himself on that last restart. He's now going to have Christopher Norris right behind him. How is the alliance between Kanata and Norris going to work out here? Let's find out. Into the restart zone, and we're back to green flag action. And oh, Malik Coates going to get contact by Eric Stant. The whole their outside lane, a little bit, stack up a spin, and it's Cody Reed spun around in front of the field. We continue to see the driver scatter, but one bad bump, and the field scatters on the entry of turn 1.
And look, Mark Whitley catching a little bit of that. They're trying to get through it as it all breaks down, but yeah, just a wheel spin from the 98, couldn't get going. The 53 into the back of him, the 74 into the back of the 53. That causes a huge checkup pileup, and Malik just kind of turns across the nose of the 53 who's there. And you even had the incident with Cody Reed farther back in the field with the checkup, really accordion back here as you see it, really accordion back through the 74 and the 2 into the 25 and the 46.
Yeah, that's the initial catalyst, but it's the run over by everyone else that just makes it even worse. Cody Reed gets blasted by Logan Brakey, and when the 25 finally locks it down, you're going to see the field try to get around the 25 machine, but it's just seeing everyone else still not able to slow up because they're not expecting the 25 to just fall right in front of Mark Whitley as GT Rosari runs in the 77, who runs into Cody, and small little dinks like that might not be causing required damage now, but Zach, we've touched on it before. You don't want to be grabbing any extra damage as there's another little dicey moment between Malik Kuntz and 77, but it's the additive damage that you're worried about for later on in the race.
That's you're exactly right. The additive damage it compiles. It really does with this damage model, and it can build up to weakening those parts that just lead to an easy failure later in the race. So Got to make sure you're clean here. And Martinsville known to definitely take a beating on these trucks, but this damage model definitely very forgiving at the moment for these drivers, and able to lean on each other a good bit here. And unfortunately, I think due to the instability of the truck, they can't lean on each other as much as we probably would like, but definitely the ability to use the bumpers if needed.
Factor of how do you want to make it through an incident going to be so critical here, as the field is going to get stacked up and ready for this restart. Up front, it's going to be seeing Josh Kanata, Nick that of Christopher Norris, Olive Fonseca, John Forbes, Nick Crawford, your top 5. Justin Campbell, Danny Cochran, Ryan Ferraro's now up to 8th, Trenton Jump, and Mason Cassidy in 10th. But I'm circling on Ryan Ferraro. That's 34. This is turning into a traditional Ryan Ferraro type of a race that he's had all season long, where maybe the stage racing didn't go the way that he wanted, but it's the middle to end of the race where he just sneakily falls inside of the top 10 and is trying to get another one here tonight.
Again, if I think I've said this the past couple of weeks, if he can get into this round of 8, that would be the Cinderella story of the playoffs for sure. I mean, we talked about, Ryan, Matt Upbrook last season, with his Cinderella story in the round of 12. It didn't continue on to the round of 8. Well, if Ferrari can continue it on to the round of 8, I mean, that's just one more step closer to maybe getting that Cinderella story in the Final Four.
I mean, Ryan Ferraro at one moment, I know for a lot of the drivers, it was, okay, Ryan's out on track. Is he going to be caught up in a mess? He took a break for a bit during season 4, came back late, and was caught up still in big wrecks. But this season, it just feels like a complete transformation for the 34 on his mentality, the way he was practicing, and it's translating out on track. But it's time for another restart. As we see Joshua Kanata, Christopher Norris, side by side. There's the takeoff. Norris gets the launch that he needs, but a little bit of wheel spin. Ollie Fonseca has some time in the opening. He'll dive it down low, hard into Christopher Norris, but they battle off the corner. 38's got the nose, but not the positioning just yet for second.
Contact was made there in the center of 1 and 2. Can the 38 fight back to the lead? The pole position is Mark Whitley's gone around.
Mark Whitley, it's going from bad to worse for the machine that just needed a solid day. And instead, he's going to find himself being into an incident where it's just Mark Whitley. I mean, the amount of points that he's grabbed here tonight, he's in a spot where he's not scared to be knocked out of the playoffs. But if he finishes 19th, they might be a little bit nervous on how everyone else has been racing. As you see the 6, as well as into the 19, Mark's just trying everything. And this is a nightmare for the 77 that we've touched on it in past races, where if he is stuck in traffic, it's hard to make passes. Sometimes his over-aggression gets him into trouble.
It definitely can lead to that for sure. I mean, Mark's an excellent driver, a very, very quick driver at that too. And, sometimes being that fast can make you kind of overwork to get back up there because you're not in the position you should be on the racetrack. It's very easily done. And, I think Mark give him a few more laps here to get his head back on straight, and I think he'll be right back into the mix of this thing. Don't count him out yet. I mean, yeah, we're 91 laps of 150. We're nearing the end of this race, but he's still got plenty of opportunity with the size of the field. You have one decent-sized wreck that he makes it through, he's right back up in the in the middle of the top 10.
Taking time, get the repairs done. 77 will be restarting back at 19th for himself, but also recognizing, hey, Martinsville's known for bringing out a lot of wrecks. A lot of drivers can get into trouble. We haven't seen the full gridlock wreck just yet, but could these drivers up front take it easy enough to make it through a decent green flag run that could really change things and make things disappointing for Mark Whitley here, as the 77 trying to catch up to the field. Everyone else up front, Josh Kanata. I mean, Kanata once again trying to be a thief here and find himself sneakily up front trying to get a win. I mean, he found himself first round of the playoffs, didn't have to worry much about it after winning at Talladega. Well, if you win another wild card race, it seems like luck might be in your favor.
It very well might be. I mean, I like the strategy from Kanata here. I really do. I mean, you can't beat track position in Martinsville, especially when you have a caution-filled race, Sam. I mean, this plays right into that factor, and these tires, when they go through heat cycles, they cool down, they heat back up, they cool down, they heat back up, they cool down, they heat back up. That can really cause some interesting grip changes and actually can almost make the tire better sometimes. So, you know, if you're Kanata out here, you're definitely loving the continuous yellow flag condition.
As the drivers pace for another lap, wait for the lights to turn off. As they do, that's your 1 to go indicator to the field and to the audience members and to us. Hey, they are taking off this go around. Mark Whitley did go into pit road again to get slightly more damage repair done. And damage, yes, it is important to get repaired because you don't want to get required damage, which just forces you into pit road. But luckily, as long as you got full engine power, still got a chance for a good run here tonight. Pace car pulls into pit road. The last race of the round of 12. Who's making it to the Elite 8? Only one driver was confirmed. That's Christopher Norris, who starts on the top after winning last week. Everyone else still in the unknown as we're back to green flag action here for the Robert Downshift Jr. Down into turn number 1. Aggressive moves by the 9, Justin Campbell, but they continue to stay side by side for second place.
Side by side, and right now Kanata almost under attack from Christopher Norris on the outside. If you're Christopher Norris, this is what you want to do. You want to attack the 16 up ahead, because that can trap the 24 behind them. That actually puts you in the preferred groove to go around with the fresher tires. But they're going to need laps here, Sam, and right now we're staying green for the time being.
And Kanata blocking both lanes, just having a slight bumper on the 38's nose as Norris finally able to creep his way to the outside quarter panel, but couldn't stay there. Instead, they'll stay side by side for second. Norris needs the 16 to start pulling away if he's going to slot in behind, but instead, it's going to be seeing Nick Crawford slotting into fourth, trying to see where they're going to bob and weave as other drivers trying to set up their moves as well. As Christopher Norris, what a job to hold on the outside. As Ali Fonseca, he needs to get moving here quickly, but just can't find the opening to get by the 38.
That was again down to 3, some contact between the 24 and the 38, and the 24's been leaning on him, Sam. I tell you what, push comes to shove here, we may have an incident. As the 24, I mean, you got to think about it. He knows the 30 gets locked in. He's going to be more aggressive with him probably.
Get out of my way. I want to win. I want the momentum heading into the next round. The next round of the playoffs doesn't get any easier than this one as they're heading to Rockingham in Iowa. More short track racing. So if you're going to get your elbows out, well, you better get prepared to use them even more in these next 2 races in the round of 8. Going to be a good one to watch out for as Joshua Kanata holds steady, but with the pass by the 24 by the 38, it allows teammate contact as Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris gets bumped out of the way. Norris will now fall to 6th place, and now side by side with the 2 of Danny Cochran as Ollie sets up for the pass for the lead. Easy and breezy, the 24 up front and will lead a lap for himself.
And he about lost it there off of 4, and that would have been bad news for him as now Kanata opens the door. Nick Crawford looking to try to follow that through. You also got Justin Campbell there in the 9. Don't forget about him. He may be in the mix for this thing before it's all said and done.
As they continue to battle side by side. I mean, an interesting call by Kanata. I think it would have been, maybe if you're thinking about allies and teamwork, it would have been better just to let the 38 go on by on the outside. Instead, allows Ollie Fonseca to push his way through. Nick Crawford now has an opening to get by for second. Justin Campbell, who's been again stuck to the rear bumper of the 74 for the last about 30 or 40 laps as Campbell into the outside wall, scattering the drivers behind. They had to check up for a slight moment. The 16 loose on entry, keeps it steady and will slot in front of John Forbes.
And the 16 struggling right now. Those tires that I've talked about, the heat cycle, how they work when they're cool. Well, now they've started to get back hot again, and now they're starting to show the age on them, and the difference in speed is there as Kanata really struggling to hold on as Christopher Norris still side by side with Danny Cochran. That 38 has just been stuck up there each and every lap, Sam.
He has not been able to get a clean just set on the inside lane, just showing, hey, these restarts, where you start on the outside, it can be so unlucky. And that's what happened to the 38 machine. Maybe it would have been better if he just gave up spots, found himself slotted in behind. But again, he's just running for his own pride here tonight. He's already locked into the next round. It can influence tonight on who moves on to the next round. But tonight, it is all about just survival mode. As you see, continues to be a logjam from everyone from Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris on back. They just aren't able to move. The driver that is still surprisingly doing a great job. Got to give it to Ryan Ferraro. In 9th place now, and just waiting in the wings on what these drivers are going to do in front of him.
That he is. He's loving what he's seeing because this is stacking up right here. Christopher Norris still trying to make the outside groove work. He gets a little bit loose and stacks up this top side. That maybe could allow Ferraro an opportunity. So he's going to look to roll up to the top side. This is when Martinsville gets good. When you can roll both ends of the track up top, you're able to really have chances and opportunities to set up passes. This little gaggle of trucks up here, Christopher Norris trying to hold that outside, is definitely holding up a traffic jam.
And the more that he keeps Danny Cochran's trapped on the inside lane, the worse Danny's got to be feeling, because that inside lane was not a comfortable position at the start of the race for the two. Now he's got to figure out how to hold off the driver that was dominating the first half of this race. This is going to be tough, but they continue to try to work their way forward as we are in the final third of this race, about to be coming up to 40 laps to go. I mean, Zach, this race, in a blink of an eye, feels like it's almost over.
It really will be. I mean, if we continue green here, this race will be over so quickly. It just is Martinsville for you. I mean, you're running 19 to 20 second laps around here. It can get done pretty darn quickly. And right now, we're having some green flag action that's been great to watch as this battle just continues on. Christopher Norris not giving up, and I think it just shows you how strong the 38 is. He's able to just run the outside around these guys, but just he can't do anything. He's got a conveyor belt ahead of him.
A rare moment when we get to see some green flag racing here at Martinsville. Also, we can confirm, because of Joshua Kanata no longer able to be holding the lead from when he took it under pacing of our stage break to the end of the race, Christopher Norris will be gifted the most laps led here tonight. So the 38 machine going to be stealing even more bonus points. He took the stage win on the maximum points there, as well took the most laps led. Norris is really stealing the bonus points from most of the field.
That is an oh no loose from John Forbes there. That's going to open up the door now for Cochran at the block the 38, and he just closed the door, and that was almost contact. I think the 38 cut the two a little bit of slack there. Now that's going to allow Trenton Jump to get to the outside of the 38.
And Trenton Jump hoping that he gets going to make this run work for himself on the outside lane, but we have not seen this from Jump, and as the run progresses, it's around the time that we saw Trenton Jump really start to falter on the grip levels for the 46. We have to hope that he learned something from that first stage to now on how to protect those tires. Our top three completely gapped out. You can see him ahead as the green machine of Joshua Kanata continues to hold off the rest of the field.
It just shows you, even though he's got those older tires, the track position and just the ability to run, you know, your own line can have a huge effect on your race truck. And right now, Kanata doing a great job just holding on to what he's gained through all of this. But right now, that 11, I think he's the one under attack, Sam. He's got that 2, but most importantly, that 38 is all over the back bumper of Cochran.
And with the ways that the bonus points lined up from the stage and the way that it finished to now, John Forbes is in a very precarious spot because of the fact of Nick Crawford grabbing some decent bonus points. John Forbes not grabbing his more. His caution flag comes out, and it's the 6 of Justin Smith, bringing out his 3rd, I believe, caution of the day out of our 10. As he's going to have another spin out through the center of 3 and 4 this go around. But talking about points, it is very close between John Forbes, Nick Crawford, on where they're going to be at on who's going to be in or out. And Crawford now going to have to restart on the outside lane. This could be a crucial moment. Who decides to hit pit road, or do you think about pit road here, as this could be your last chance to think about it?
It very well could be your last opportunity. I think pit road might get semi-busy here, Sam. I think if your drivers up front, you may decide not to. It's getting real busy, actually. Nick Crawford and Ali Fonseca, they stay out with Ryan Ferraro, but the rest of the field coming on down.
And I love that call, seeing a group of drivers decide to come into pit road because of the fact that you're going to have, instead of what Kanata was dealing with, that was only a 25 lap advantage, you're now going to be having over a 45 lap advantage over their top 3, only though a 25 lap advantage over Mark Whitley, Eric Stamp, as well as GT Rosari. This puts Mark Whitley back in the fight to make sure he stays in for the next round.
That it does. Mark Whitley right back in it. Like I said, never count that guy out. He's got the speed and definitely the experience to keep him into the fight here coming down to the end of this thing. So let's watch how he works his way through this. But they will have the first set of tires right behind them. That's going to be the interesting part to watch. This group of drivers really try to march their way through on these fresher tires. Will they have the grip, or will this, a little bit of caution flag a sequence here cool down the tires?
And Zach, talking about competition and some drivers that were very fast. Once again, very slow stuff for Christopher Norris. He didn't lose just one position. He lost multiple spots on drivers deciding for some just to drive through pit road. Malik Kuntz, one of those that saw the amount of drivers that came into pit road, made an audible call, just drove through. I think he might have either missed his box or decided, I'm not going to be coming into pit road. Don't have to worry about that. And as well, seeing drivers taking just 2 tires for Trent Jump and Justin Campbell, giving themselves the advantage on positioning, pushing Danny Cochran back to that of 10th place. A lot of change up, but it's Ollie Fonseca up front in first, Nick Crawford second, third is Ryan Ferraro on the oldest of tires of anyone up front. Then it's going to be Mark Whitley, GT Rosari. Watch out how they're going to run as Eric Stamp into pit road. Kind of changes how the front runners are going to attack this restart.
Definitely does. This is going to be fun to see now. We had a few audibles, like you said, drivers who just rolled down pit lane and said, you know what, that's a lot of people coming down, and I'm going to take advantage of this. So we'll get to see. I mean, we saw Kanata, how well he did with just the difference on his tires. I think guys like Mark Whitley might not be in the worst positioning, especially with how old his tires are compared to the drivers around him.
And with Ryan Ferraro going to be in third, he's going to have a good launch here for the 34. Mark Whitley's down going to be on the outside. GT Rosari, if the 14 can hold off Mark from dropping down low in the inside lane, that could be crucial on how these drivers are going to attack this restart. 30 laps to go. And the math still too difficult to call now for ourselves, because there's going to be a lot of switching up here. Expecting some big dive bomb moves, drivers moving others out of the way. It's about to get very aggressive. The gloves are off. It's time to get those elbows out. It's the last chance to make it to the Elite 8. Who will move on from our 12 drivers that are still left in the playoffs? Let's find out. For the Robert Downshift Jr., 80 presented by Lids. As Ollie Fonseca, not the greatest launch in the world. He's going to be side by side with Nick Crawford down in turn number 1.
3 wide here. GT Rosari on the bottom of it, and it's going to get mixy off of 2 as there's wrecks happening. Cody Reed goes around.
Cody Reed going to be spun around, and somehow it didn't turn into gridlock for drivers further on back. They were able to avoid the 25.
That they were. That was a great job by everybody to avoid that. And with the timing of that caution, it was close for the lead. Even Nick Crawford was challenging for it on the outside, I think. So we'll get to see this replay here and get to see exactly what happened. You see Christopher Norris up ahead of Reed here with that 3 wide action happening up ahead. But it looks like Reed just going around. Yeah, just all by himself, Sam.
I mean, fresh tires. We talked about it. We've been harping on it all night long. You get the fresh tires. It doesn't mean you automatically have the grip. It just means that you have grip later on in the race if we get a long green flag run. And it shows there. Still tough to drive for these drivers. As, I mean, I got to say, for Ollie and Nick, this is going to be one of those restarts where if Ollie has that same mistake again, Nick Crawford could be pouncing on this and having the advantage, because when we look back to how this race started, it seemed like the drivers, as the restarts progressed, it was the drivers on the outside that were getting faster and faster.
It really did seem that way. So we'll get to see here on this next launch how it works out. But Crawford did a great job. I mean, the 24 out, the initial box was good. He had the gap, but it was like that phase where you go from 3rd to 4th gear that Nick Crawford really closed the gap between him and the 24 Ollie Fonseca. And I tell you, it is doable to make that pass around the outside. If you have a truck up front who is struggling a little bit center in entry, and we've seen it. I mean, we saw Cochran earlier tonight. He got loose on the entry race with Mark Whitley. It's very easily doable. If you're Nick Crawford, that's what I think you're looking to do to this 24 here.
How do you find yourself getting the pass done? Mark Whitley in 4th. He's got to be still feeling pretty good on the fact that just track position-wise, he's gotten it back. But he's got Trenton Jump, Malik Kuntz. In 2 different scenarios, Malik, again, did a drive-through and trying to get a net gain for himself to get back into a fight and be very close on points. The tough thing is that all the drivers that he needed to get in front of all have gotten some type of bonus points, either from the stage finish and where they've got bonus points there, or just by leading a lap. So the 98 needs some big slip-ups from the likes of Nick Crawford, Ollie Fonseca, and John Forbes to get back into this fight for himself. And as well, he needs to finish inside of the top 5, while other drivers, such as Ryan Ferraro, Nick Crawford, it's just stay up front, cross your fingers, and hope fate's on your side.
And the one thing I've noticed too, Sam, it's funny watching these guys pace around. I mean, you know, we normally don't get double filed up till 1 to green when the pace car lights go out. These guys have been double file since the yellow flag is kind of, came out. So they're showing their eagerness to get back out there and go racing as the pace car lights finally do go out. And we'll get to see this next restart. Will it be the last one of the night, or will we see more? I highly suspect we'll see a few more of these restarts to happen with what's about to transpire right here, Sam. But this front two, they went at it on this last restart. Let's see if Nick Crawford can have as good a jump on the outside.
Ollie Fonseca wanting to get up front, get his second win of the season. Could Nick Crawford get his first win of the season? It's been a while since we've seen the 74 in victory lane. Tonight he's hoping that it's his luck on his side. As the pace car is off into the restart zone, we're green for the Robert Downshift Jr. And oh no, and it goes up in smoke. Bad restart for the 74. Everyone else scatters. They keep it 3 wide for second place and everywhere else. And it continue to keep it straight somehow. From bad to survival mode. And now it's Nick Crawford, Trent Judd, Malik Coates, your top 4.
And Justin Campbell, the first one on new tires, up to the 5th position. He's going to be the one to watch out for, Sam. He got gifted a few positions there with all that stack up, and huge loss for Mark Whitley and Ryan Ferraro.
And drivers now going to be trying to attack, trying to get out of any trouble. Luckily, no one was given a black flag with the scatter on the restart. And instead, it's drivers that have fresh rubber trying to be on the move. Trent Jump took 2 tires on his pit stop 12 laps ago. Justin Campbell took 4. And they are making their charge forward as Nick Crawford now going to be battling side by side. 3 wide for second place. Campbell, 4 tires and a hope as they continue to stay 3 wide through 3 and 4. Campbell's got the nose. Jump with the run. And can that of Nick Crawford losing 2 spots in one go.
Trent Jump on the 2 tires trying to make it work. He's sending it around the outside, but Justin Campbell, the driver I think to watch out for here, in the prime position, taking over the 2nd spot. Now sets his sights on the driver that brought him into the league.
Didn't have to worry about that of Nick Crawford no more. Doesn't have to look at that rear bumper. Instead, like you said, looking at Ollie Fonseca, the driver that brought in the 9 machine. But they'll have to try again. Caution flag through turns 1 and 2. It's John Forbes caught up in this one.
I think it all started around Ferraro and Mark Whitley. I think Ferraro was taking a look to the inside of Whitley, who had the 11 of Forbes, trying to maybe take a look to his inside and maybe got in there a little too deep into Mark Whitley, who kind of caused a little bit of a logjam here as we look back at this replay. And you can see the 11 there jut out to the left, and I think Ferraro maybe defending that position got to the inside of Whitley unexpectedly.
Just a little bit of tap and go. It's Danny Cochran putting John Forbes in a little bit of a sandwich, forcing the 11 to go around as Mark Whitley and Ferraro, they're able to drift their way out of that incident and continue to run forward. Everyone else scatters around the 11 machine, and Justin Smith does a little bit of a T-bone to the rear axle of the 11. Luckily, no required damage for John Forbes. And you see Mason Cassidy and others as well piling in on that outside groove. Everyone tries to evasive maneuvers as quickly as they can. Sometimes the door stays open. Other times it can close just as quickly. But Zach, the lap times again continue to close. We're less than 20 laps to go in this race. Soon to be less than 10. In the field, I think they might be thinking overtime is looming, as we do have 3 attempts if needed, if we get a caution with less than 5 laps to go. But for Ollie Fonseca, Justin Campbell, how do you want to play this? Because Campbell, like you said, was brought in by Ollie Fonseca. Ollie wants to get a win, so he doesn't have to worry about points because he was the cutoff driver. But Justin might be thinking about, hey, I can get my first win here in the truck series that you brought me in for.
That's the toughest position you got to be in, is the guy who brought you into the league. He's fighting for playoffs. I mean, at the end of the day, if Ollie finishes second, he will move on to the next round. So if I'm Campbell, I just make sure I play nice with him. I don't, I'm not going to wreck him. I'm not going to, use him up or nothing like that. I'm going to make a nice, clean pass on him and just try to, make his day as good as possible. But you got to go out there and think about yourself if you're Campbell and try to go get this first career win. I mean, that would be huge for him, and I'm sure something he's been trying to do all season long.
And with this time into the caution, Ryan Ferraro, his slim chances of a good run have now forced the 34, comes into pit road, and he will be all the way back in 18th position. I would say, Zach, that wreck could have been what was the nail to take out Ryan Ferraro here on this chance and Cinderella story to make it to the Elite Eight.
It very well might have been the ending of it, Sam, for sure. And that's tough to see. You know, he's had a great run up to this point, but he'll always have a good opportunity again in the following season. So Ferraro, a guy who's been around for a while and just continuously improving. So that's huge for him and huge for this series also, because you get to have those drivers who have that development story over their career. I mean, you got the likes of him and Christopher Norris, who have really developed very, very well over the likes of their career here at ISRC, and just shows the caliber driver that they have here.
It really does. As Oli Fonseca going to be trying his best to hold off the rest of the field and get into victory lane, trying to do so for the second time this season. First time this season was at Richmond, another short track, and if we can continue with short tracks being a great run, he might be finding himself with a ticket into the Final Four, as our next two races are from short track action. But with 13 laps to go, who's going to win here at the Robert Downshift Jr. 80? Well, they're already stacking up on the inside. Big stack up for everyone running into one another. And it's Oli Fonseca as well as Campbell holding steady as the other drivers scattering back and forth. Crawford, Campbell, bumping off one another. And oh no, they're spinning. And that's Mark Whitley going around. Campbell going around. And Nick Crawford's back to second.
Oh man, and that was a very awkward moment for Mark Whitley. I don't know what exactly happened with him. I don't know if he was trying to get back to the 38 who he hit on entry, because the 38 made it 3 wide here, as you see down the back straightaway. I think this might have been out of anger right here, Sam.
I mean, Mark and Norris have both had frustrations, and Mark tried his best, but instead went to the school of Danica Patrick on how to wreck opponents. Instead took himself out there. The 77 will be falling back to 18th place. And now we'll see how the 77 is going to rebound from this. Again, with the amount of drivers that are here, all that Mark has to do is just finish inside of the top 18, and he's good. But if he falls to 19th, finishes last of all those that are running currently, that's when Mark is going to be having to look at the points and hoping that Nick Crawford doesn't continue on this path of great runs that he's having here tonight.
Oh man, this could get very, very close, Sam, for sure with him. I mean, right now he is 19th. For all sakes, least. And I mean, it very well could end up that way. And if that does end up that way, Mark's going to come back and look at this and just really probably be very mad at himself, just letting a frustration of some hard racing get the better of him right there. That was clearly him gassing up in the center, trying to get back to the 38 after he already got him on the entry of the corner, which the 38's being aggressive because, you know, he's on the fresher tires. He's trying to make his way through. It's probably a similar move that maybe Mark would employ. And you know, I understand the frustration, but you can't let that frustration overtake you when you're in a playoff position like this.
Big picture is always what seems to be thrown around when you come to the playoff races on how you want to react when you get late in these races. And right now the field trying to think of big picture on how they want to run this race up front, as they're getting themselves prepared and ready for this race. It's going to be Oli Fonseca, Nick Crawford up front. And gotta say, Zach, this is going to be an interesting 10 laps to go, less than 10 laps to go for these drivers on how they're going to attack this race.
It is this is going to get fun right here, Sam. I tell you what, if you folks want to see quintessential Martinsville beating and banging and unknown of what's going to come out, well, stay tuned to these final 9 here, because it's going to get very wild. I see Trenton Jump getting aggressive here, possibly. Oli Fonseca, he's definitely wanting to have the best restarts of his life so he can get away and hopefully let these guys battle out behind him.
Hoping for it, as they are prepared and ready for tonight's race. It's going to be Oli Fonseca, Nick Crawford up front, Trent Jump in third, with Christopher Norris in fourth, Malik Kuntz in fifth. Malik is on some of the oldest tires comparatively to the rest of the field. Same for Oli Fonseca and Nick Crawford, 70-lap-old tires compared to the rest of the field. It's got 25-lap-old tires. How do you want to survive up front? Playoff racing is when the joy comes out, the calculators as well, and you're always banking on a little bit of drama to mount up. Might have already seen it here on a few drivers on how they've been racing with one another, but it's Oli Fonseca, Nick Crawford, they're taking it wide, exit at turn 4, restart with 7 laps to go, and we are green. Clean start for the drivers up front. They're already going to be seen try to jump. Huge bump into the 24's back bumper, but it's Nick Crawford, center of the corner. He's got a good launch here, Zach, as he takes off the exit turn 2.
And has the lead down the back straightaway. Sam, if the caution comes out, he would have it at that moment. But right now, fighting through the center of 3 and 4. What does Fonseca have on the bottom? Because Crawford right now, the good drive off, leads that lap.
Crawford still putting the pressure on. Some taps here or there for Trent Jump to Christopher Norris for 3rd place. But Crawford continues to keep the nose ahead, trying to keep the nose. So if a caution flag comes out, the 74 would have the restart control. Ollie Fonseca trying to dive through the corner, but still not able to get the nose ahead just yet until they exit the corner. Big wiggle from Crawford. They continue to track race. 5 laps to go here at Martinsville. Christopher Norris trying to help his teammate on the outside. Trent Jump trying to help Ollie, but Jump wiggles. Norris moves forward, and it's still Crawford with the nose ahead.
Oh man, this is some great racing here. Beating and banging through the center of 3 and 4. Crawford on the outside holds on to it as they come to 4 to go. He's almost clear here heading into 1. Needs a good drive off of 2.
Oh, this big outside run, trying to go with the wide exit off of turn 2. Might have been the mistake for Crawford. Norris not sure where to place himself. Does he just watch this battle, or does he influence? There's a little bit of contact for drivers on the back. That's Justin Campbell, who's slow on the back stretch. But up front, 2 laps to go for Crawford. He continues to lead the lap when they cross the line. He's making the outside lane work off the exit of turn 2.
Again, leading down the back straightaway here is they're going to be coming to 2 to go this time. But the thing that Crawford has to worry about, the final lap, that 24 is going to be sending it, and there's going to be a ton of contact.
They continue to keep the 74 ahead. He's got a little bit further that go around, but as they come off the exit of turn 2, it's all Ollie Fonseca. Big slide from Nick Crawford. He might have used up all the juice. That's all. He's got the nose ahead off the exit of turn number 4. Crawford needs a better exit. Norris with the slip and slide. It's the teammates for second, but caution before the line. We're headed to overtime.
Oh man, and this is not what Fonseca wants to see. He's going to have fresh tires behind him with Christopher Norris. And my question is, will he take the outside here, Sam, and do the teammate restart with Cochran being in 4th? This has opened up the door for plenty of opportunities.
And it's Ryan Ferraro pushing it to the limit, just overturned through the center of 3 and 4, and that's what brought out the caution to send us into overtime. And Nick Crawford gets to cool off the tires and gets another chance on the outside.
Oh man, this is going to make it fun. I think the cool down of the tires is what's going to give Crawford the best opportunity to make that outside work. After a few, 4 or 5 laps, it just gets so tough to keep the front tires on the truck rotating around the outside of the track. Just overheats them and overworks them. But this right here is cooling him down and gives him that opportunity, possibly, Sam, to roll the top like we've seen him do multiple times so far.
I mean, coming into tonight, Ollie Fonseca was the cutoff driver. He was 8th in points, which is a 1-point advantage over Ryan Ferraro. As this race is as it's kind of evolved throughout the night, Ollie has picked up some great bonus points at our stage break. He also has been leading. That gives him a bonus point there. Nick Crawford, on the other hand, all that he's done was get some good points during the stage break, and it's advanced him to a spot where he's just a couple of points behind that of Ollie Fonseca. John Forbes has had a fall off on the way that he's been running. He's back in 11th. He really is the cutoff driver that we got to talk about later on. But at this moment, Zach, Nick Crawford is trying to solidify himself. Same for Ollie Fonseca, so they don't have to put the fate and trust into the points here after tonight's race is done.
They want to, they very well do, and also, I mean, you can get some bonus points here by going out and getting a win. If not only do you move on to that next round, but you'll have those extra bonus points to help you in the most critical round, in my opinion. That's round of 8. You got the top 8 drivers. You only have 4 drivers that are going to move on. If you can have those 5 extra points to help you, that would be so helpful. And if you're Christopher Norris, you want those 10 extra points.
And Mark Whitley has just moved up to 15th position. And for Mark Whitley, he only has that of a 15-point advantage over Nick Crawford with the way the points have kind of been placing with one another. There's other drivers, though, that are at that cut line that are more so in critical situations. But Mark Whitley, if he gets caught up in a mess and loses positions, that 77 is still not 100% confirmed in the next round. That would be a shocker for the most winningest driver this season and in the history books. Not to even make it to the Elite 8, that would be mind-blowing for Mark Whitley.
And especially at a track like Martinsville, where in previous history, he has been personally one of the most dominant drivers here. I mean, one race here that we had, He looks so good, him and Vince Sora, with the battle they had. Just a complete opposite tale for him tonight. It's been very much a bunch of turmoil.
Martinsville short track racing, ISRC Truck Series has been a lot of storylines. We've seen intentional wrecks in the past. We've seen drivers use the bump and run for success, other times for failure. But tonight, it's overtime. We got 3 attempts if needed. If we get a yellow flag on this first lap, we go into attempt number 2. If they get the white flag, this race becomes official. Here we go. It's the Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids down into turn number 1. Ollie Fonseca gets a good run. Gonna be it's Nick Crawford trying his best on the outside, but it's Christopher Norris. Bump, move, he takes the lead. The wrecking back for 4th. Danny Cochran's being shuffled around. Ollie wrecks into the wall, and we're going to overtime attempt number 2.
And that is huge because that hurt his teammate of Nick Crawford. That pretty much ruined Nick Crawford's night. It's pushed him back to 12th.
I was just about to say, when is Christopher Norris going to be selfish, or is he going to be the team player? He called for selfish, and he's now leading the way, going for a win, and instead, he might not be sending his teammate to the next round. And oh boy, is that Discord call getting active.
That's gonna be an interesting discussion for sure, right there between that group. And yeah, I understand going for the win. I do understand, attempting to do that, but just I don't know. It seemed like he touched him. I don't know. To me, it looked like definitely there was a little contact there.
I mean, it was one of those things where you knew that they were going to pack in accordion effect on the center of the corner. But was Norris going to be willing to just back off and just let those top 2 battle, or was he going to go say, I'm a racer, I know there's team factors that we got to worry about at some point, but I'm racing for myself. I'm the only one that's in charge of my truck, and that's what he did. He took the reins, took control, moved the top 2 out of the way, and he might be making a little bit too many enemies after tonight is Christopher Norris, and he's now aiming for a chance to tie in the most wins this season with Mark Whitley if he gets it done. But Ollie Fonseca has now fallen from the lead back to last place. And in pit road is the 24. And Zach, with that, Ollie is in a chance of now being bumped out of the playoffs instead of a chance to just lock himself in.
Ooh, and this is not only is this going to hurt, such guys like Ollie Fonseca and Nick Crawford there with that incident, but for someone like Christopher Norris, who, he might get these 10 points and have the bonus points heading into the next round. He's made some enemies now, Sam, and that's what you don't want in playoff racing is enemies who are knocked out of the next rounds.
And these next 2 races, like I said, they're short track races. They're going to be on top of one another. We're heading to Rockingham and Iowa, our next 2 destinations for the round of 8 before we go to Homestead to race for a championship in Miami. This is a, I mean, the kid certainly has now taken a spot where maybe he's not the driver that's causing the most wrecks and incidences like he did back in the day, but tonight has certainly become enemy number 1 for majority of the drivers that maybe get knocked out of the playoffs here tonight.
Very well could be that way, Sam. We'll have to see how this works out. I mean, he's been so quick tonight. I mean, that's the one thing that 38 can take away is, such a good run for him. And if he does, pull this off, this will be his first non-super speedway oval win. And that's huge for this kid. He wants that to happen. And tell you what, though, he can't have too many risks here because you got drivers like Malik Kuntz right here who see an opportunity. Drivers like Logan Brakey who are on the outside looking in. If they see an opportunity, they're going for it here.
And now another surprise driver, 4th place runner Malik Kuntz. What does the 98 have? Logan Brakey's in 5th. These 2 drivers in them win. If they win, they're into the playoffs, but they need some help. We're in overtime attempt number 2. Here we go as we are back to green flag action. Christopher Norris takes off. Doesn't have to worry about much. Trenton Jump might give the bumper, but he's going to give the space instead. GT's going to give the bumper to Trenton Jump. Norris is gone. Exit turn 2. Everyone else, where can you lie?
Let's see how this works out. Do they get back to the white flag through to center 3 and 4? Norris looking up to the flag stand, Sam.
Looking up, and it's going to be your lap, white flag for Christopher Norris. The rest of the field, they stay all together. The passing, the aggression, it all calms down with the realization that Christopher Norris is about to go back-to-back. And who else could be bumped out? Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Ferraro, the scares, the woes, it all comes tumbling down. Norris, is it going to be another winner 3 times this season?
Great job by the 38. Huge win for him. 2 wins in this round and gonna definitely solidify his shot to go fight for a championship. But man, oh man, definitely gonna have some turmoil after this with his teammate finishing 14th after all that.
And it's about to get ugly. Ollie Fonseca is hunting for Christopher Norris, I think. That 24 looks mad as the way that he's running, and Norris is running away from the 24. It's a little bit of cat and mouse gamemanship now as the post-race show is over, as we're getting ready. This 24, Zach, he does not care about the penalties, the fines. His season's done. It's time for him to get payback.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you penalize him, it's not going to matter too much to him, so you're probably going to see him show his displeasure here as he's still trying to catch up to the 38.
I think they might be going for a couple of laps. Well, for us, that is it. The Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids. Well, Christopher Norris might have been helping with that sponsorship. He's going to get himself a hat to have fun with as they're running and chasing one another, even in pit road. That's why Olive drove into pit road. As they continue the run down the chase, we will step aside when we come back. It's going to be the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3, Christopher Norris, Trenton Jump, GT Rosari, and a Spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show. And the fireworks are going off for some drivers for winning. Others are having fireworks because of how mad they are, as the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series had a good one here tonight for the Robert Downshift Jr. 80 presented by Lids. Your Martinsville winner, third time this season, now tied with the most wins this season, goes to the 38 of Christopher Norris. We head to victory lane. Christopher, you are now a three-time winner this season. Man, did you ever think that we would say that you are now tied with the most wins of anyone so far this season?
Honestly, no, I wouldn't think that would ever happen.
Well, Christopher, congrats on the win. Great job to drive back up there after the pole position, winning the stage. Pretty much a flawless night, and then you had to come back from the adversity of that pit stops. Take us to the pit stops mistakes and coming back from that.
Yeah, the pit stop didn't really seem like a huge mistake. If anything, it was just the timing and stuff. Unfortunately, Kanata pit like 20 laps earlier than the stage. So it was, it was kind of hard to pass him because one, he had those fresher tires, and two, I had to, fight as much as possible to try and maintain that outside. And honestly, I think I was the most laps led on the outside, if that was a thing, because I was trying so hard no matter where I was. But honestly, it was like the hardest thing possible.
Well, I mean, Norris, we got to bring up the elephant in the room. You found yourself being aggressive there on that last second to last restart, trying, get by the likes of your teammate as well as Ollie Fonseca. What was going through your mind when you went into that restart, knowing, okay, I've got a chance to win this, but I also, if I make a bad move, I could be taking out those drivers' chances of moving on to the next round?
Yeah, the thought is not really, you could say, a team order, but it was a way of, if I want to do this, I need to do it in a way that I protect my teammate. And unfortunately, I I don't know what to say. I mean, I have to review it post race. I looked at it a little bit, but if anything, it's just like honestly, I didn't get a 0x or 4x from that. So I didn't get contact. I was running my line. So, I mean, I really didn't do anything special. He just ran up the track. But the worst part for that for me is that he took out my teammate, which unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to make him to the playoffs.
Looking at it and where drivers finished, I don't believe that he is going to be able to make it forward, but we do know one thing that is for sure. You're going to be having 10 bonus points going into the next round. Man, good luck into the next round before we officially let you go, Norris. The floor is now yours.
Yeah, I wish this would be a little bit more exciting, but just a shout out to my teammate Nick. He was, after the wreck happened, he didn't necessarily blame me. We'll go talk and see what happens there. So shout out to him. Also, a huge shout out to Trenton Jump. He messaged me with the last GWC and just let me know, say, hey, I'm gonna get the stuff over, and I'm not gonna challenge you too much because his titles were gone. So huge shout out to him and congrats to him for winning the hat since he finished P2. So I'm not gonna claim it. I already have 2 of them. Also, huge shout out to CustomLids.com, the sponsor of this race. So a custom hat will be going to Trenton so that he can wear during the race nights anytime he wants. Huge shout out to you guys, and a huge shout out to League for all the stuff you guys do, the amazing things. And my teammates, Josh Kanata, Cody Reed, John Forbes, Nick Crawford, and Tyler Dengler. I'm glad they join us every night. And yeah, I mean, just I have to say it again. I hate it for Nick, but just hopefully something happens in the points where he can jump back up. But yeah.
It looks like, Norris, we have just been given live updates. Nick Crawford will be missing out on the playoffs by 3 points, and Ollie will be moving forward. So unfortunate circumstances for your teammate, but for yourself personally, good job on getting your 2 wins. You're tied with the most wins in this season with Mark Whitley. Congratulations and good luck into the next round of the playoffs.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we head down to second place to a driver that kind of stole at some moments positioning, but we'll love to have it. We have Trenton Jump with us. Trent, you come away with second place this evening. Oh, what's going through your mind with grabbing second place here late with all these restarts?
Honestly, kind of surprised, but honestly kind of glad the 2-tire gamble paid off. I didn't know how it was going to play in the first restart. I'm like, damn, this thing's kind of moving. So, it was fine. I think one of the restarts, Nick spun his tires, and I got rear-ended, and I hit him, and it kind of just really made me way too tight to even go run for the win. So just doing whatever I could just to hold my position and get the best finish I could out of here.
Definitely a good job to salvage the night for yourself, Trent. I know a lot of guys are definitely wishing they came out in the position you did. But heading into the next round, man, I mean, it looks good for you personally. You got Rockingham coming up. How do you feel about that? We know how good you did in the previous season there.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I like Rockingham. It's really really fun. And Iowa after that, it's kind of the same style. Rough, bumpy, loose, whatnot. So, um, I did all right through this round. I didn't have a spectacular first round. I wasn't flashy or sporty or anything. So definitely feel like we're getting back on track here and roll some momentum into Rockingham next week.
And how do you feel about Rockingham as well as Iowa coming up? Do you feel like it's tracks that you can try to carry forward and go for another championship?
Yeah, I think every time we've raced at Rockingham, I mean, I've been a threat to win there. So, um, I'm not too worried. I mean, either way, I think at this point it's just really collect stage points and have solid days and just sneak through. That's kind of that's been my MO for a lot of these playoffs that I've been in. Just go collect points and then sneak through.
Hey, I mean, you have been quiet, which is always a good thing, I think, with all the drama that's been building up these last couple of weeks. Congratulations, Trenton, on a great run here tonight, as well as making it to the next round. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank the admins for running this whole deal. Thank you guys for broadcasting it. It's always fun going back watching these races when I do well. I want to thank my teammates at Armadillo Motorsports, Eric, Logan, and TJ. And I want to thank Justin at Justin Teal Designs for painting this beautiful truck and the rest of our team's beautiful trucks that we get the privilege to drive every week.
That's going to be the 46 machine of Trent Jump. Congratulations on your finish here tonight in second place, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Sounds good. See you.
As we move on from second position, we head down to third. Are we going to have that of the 14 machine of GT Rosario with the top 3 finish? GT, congratulations on third place. A lot of up and down contact from drivers all around you. Man, how are you feeling after tonight's performance?
Man, every squirrel finds a nut, man. I hate that place. I was. That's what we were just talking about. I mean, hell, it caused the first yellow. I suck there so bad. I don't care what you put me in. Golf cart, I'm horrible.
Well, I think you did pretty good with the golf cart of a truck you had tonight, man, probably. So good job, GT, getting yourself up to the top 3, man. But I think you got 2 pretty good tracks. We know you're not in the playoffs, of course, but we know you got 2 good tracks coming up. How do you feel about Rockingham next week, a high tire wear track like that?
If you can keep it clean, feel okay. Homestead is the one I'm wanting to get to.
I'm excited to see how you're going to perform at Homestead as well, GT. Coming from tonight's race, I know, like I said, you had a lot of ups and downs trying to get around some of these drivers. What was the toughest thing when you were trying to tackle these restarts to advance forward to get where you finished?
To get it out of my head that I was just going to get run over. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's all I could think about. And I was like, well, just drive it in there, and hopefully stuff happens behind you. And it worked. I'm telling you that I'm horrible here. Here in road courses are just not my thing. So to come home in third, I mean, I'm just as shocked, I know, as y'all are.
Well, it still was impressive, GT. Congratulations on third. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
I mean, appreciate you boys. You guys do a phenomenal job in the booth. I mean, it's crazy how good you guys are. Appreciate everybody putting the league on. Sucks we're not in the chase, but that doesn't mean we're not going to make some noise while we're there.
Hey, we're excited to see what noise you're going to bring at Homestead in 3 weeks. Can't wait for it. Congratulations on your finish, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Tempo.
As we move from third, our spotlight driver going to be 8th place in points in shocking fashion, where the points lied to fate. Cross your fingers and hope for the best. Ollie Fonseca coming away with 8th in points. Gotta say, what a run for yourself, Ollie. I know the finish wasn't what you wanted, but you come away in 8th in points. What's going through your mind right now after the way that this race just happened?
Well, if I'm being entirely honest, just pure frustration at the moment. It's never fun to be in the lead and then getting a yellow right as you're about to cross the line, and then the next restart getting flat out ran over. So it's just part of it. And I honestly thought that I was going to be out. I was pretty surprised when Brandon told me that I was going to be in on points. So thank God we're not out yet. It ain't over, so that's good. but yeah, I mean, the first half of the race, I mean, we did what we had to do. We came in, in a precarious situation, being the cut line. So I knew who I had to beat. I knew, I needed stage points, and that was something we were able to accomplish. So that was good. And then yeah, we just kind of Josh and those guys stayed out on old tires, and I kind of followed Norris and got around both of them, and it was smooth sailing from there. Just doing my best to babysit the right rear, keep it from getting loose on me in the center of the corner. That's what I was struggling with most. But yeah, I mean, we did our part. We did everything we needed to do, and sometimes it doesn't always end up being the finish you want. But the important thing is we are moving on, so that's something we're celebrating.
No doubt, that's definitely something to celebrate for yourself, Ali. Man, I know can understand the frustrations there with how that ending played out. But do you think just how it all played out right there, and now knowing that you have made it through, can this put a little bit of a chip on your shoulder heading into this next round and maybe give you that extra bit of motivation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always going to be more motivated than ever, and these next two tracks are a little kinder to me. I wasn't really a big fan of the road course, so I knew this round was going to be tough. I was hoping it wouldn't come down to that kind of a finish, crunching numbers like that, but we made it through, and yeah, I'm just excited. The points are going to reset again, so we'll all be even, and we're just going to have to keep at it, and if we want to make another championship 4 appearance, that's the goal. So we're gonna do what we can to get there.
Ollie, we're excited for it. Cannot wait to see how you're going to perform in these upcoming races in this round of 8. Before we officially let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank my teammates, Danny, Mason, Justin, Brandon. Thank you guys so much for helping me be in a position to be fast every single week. We ran numerous laps, tons of laps on practice this week, and it obviously paid off. So I appreciate them. Got to thank my sponsors, Hot Lap Threads. T-shirt is out. Got some hoodies as well. They're awesome. Check them out. Use my code OF24 for 10% off discount. Got to thank Larry's Arts Productions. Check him out on YouTube. He makes hilarious content. I love watching his videos. Got to thank my friends, family, everyone who's watching me and supporting me every race. It means the world to me, and I really, really appreciate it. And obviously, you guys for putting this on. And yeah, we're let's get at it, man. I'm pumped up.
We're pumped for you, Ollie. Congratulations on surviving Martinsville, and good luck into the round of 8 for a chance to run for another Final 4.
Thank you, sir.
As we move away from our interviews, some interesting thoughts came to mind as we're going to take a look at our unofficial results of tonight's race. We had only 20 drivers show up. 12 were running for a chance to run for a championship berth into the Elite 8. And we already have the unofficial results on the finish of tonight's race and the unofficial of the points, because there's a chance that Ollie could be in some trouble with running down Christopher Norris. Other drivers in the past have been docked with penalties, points-wise penalties, for trying to influence drivers and attack them after the race. So Ollie could be in some trouble of maybe he's good now, but he could be knocked out of the playoffs because of his out of race antics. We'll have to find out later on into that of next week's race if he's in or out. But Christopher Norris going to be winning tonight's race. Trenton Jump going to be in second. GT Rosari third. Malik Kuntz fourth. Fifth goes to Logan Brakey. Eric Stam sixth. John Forbes seventh. Eighth goes to Joshua Kanata. With Danny Cochran ninth. And finish out your top 10, it goes to Cody Reed.
And as we look through the rest of the order, what a mosh posh of drivers here we got, because man, what a crazy ending we got with their likes of Mark Whitley finishing back in 12th. Justin Campbell, we thought he had a shot at the win at one point. He ends up 13th. And Nick Crawford, at one point there was 11th the lap before, ended up 14th. Those last couple positions he lost could have been the reason he's knocked out of the next round. Ali Fonseca finishing 15th. Huge for him just to get back to 15th. And Ferraro 16th. Unfortunately, his Cinderella story ends tonight.
And for the 8 drivers that we're running moving forward after tonight's race, Christopher Norris has his 2 wins. He's going to have a 10-point buffer going into next weekend to the round of 8. Everyone else is going to be tied on points, with Trent Jump going to be 2nd. 3rd is Danny Cochran. Mark Whitley 4th in points. Cody Reed 5th. 6th is Joshua Kanata. John Forbes 7th. And Ollie Fonseca, again, unofficially, going to be your 8 drivers that are going to continue on into the playoffs. Drivers that are getting knocked out unofficially, going to be Nick Crawford, Malik Kuntz, Logan Brakey, and Ryan Ferraro. Zach, that unofficial is going to be interesting because earlier this season, some drivers were being penalized, docking of 15 points with post-race antics. And with the fact that there was no contact, quote unquote, dude, that could save Ollie, but Norris had to run for his life until Ollie was off the track.
That's going to be an interesting one for the admins to look at for sure, and that would definitely throw some controversy into it if that had to come into effect. But we'll have to see. We'll have to let them all decide that, and we'll be back here for next week, Sam, see how it all plays out at Rockingham, because I'm sure this is going to be something that continues all the way back to next Monday.
The drama continues to mount up, and next Monday, it only gets more rocky as Rockingham, the next destination for the ISRC Truck Series, as they are prepared for the round of 8. Can't wait for it. But if you can't wait as well, we've got other great racing action for you on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting off tomorrow night, Full Send Racing Series. They've got some drama mounting up in the Xfinity car, as Phoenix will be our next destination for those drivers. How will the Xfinity car handle the dogleg? You're going to find out. Then on Wednesday, the drivers of the WSSR Roast to Gems Cup Series head to Kansas. How will race 14, more action mounting up? And Zach, you get to have some fun as well. Playoff racing action for those drivers. It's been a blast to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited, Sam. I can't wait to get into some more of that playoff action in the next round. I know how these guys are when it comes down to cutoff races after we came as far as last week. Now we're starting our next round, and there's no better way to start off a round than go out and get a win. So hopefully that's where we are, myself as a driver, but more or less just hoping also the racing is good. So all the fans out there tuning in here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting can enjoy the racing that we put on there.
Can't wait for it. Then Thursday night, if you didn't like the fact that we had so many cautions here tonight, well, Green Flag Racing's known. Thursday night, Stars and Stripes, they're heading to North Wilkesboro. Can they survive the Gen 4 cars at a short track? Time will only tell. Thank you so much again for all those that watch us week in and week out on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Warrior Jr., thank you so much for joining with us. Christopher Norris, he's now tied with the most wins in the season with Mark Whitley at 3. Will he grab his 4th? Can Mark get his 4th? Or will someone else be the shocker at the start of the round of 8 at Rockingham next week? Can't wait for it. And tomorrow, it is the Full Send Racing Series. They go to the desert at Phoenix. Xfinity cars. That's going to be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.